Many friends later asked when Brother Z would sell and peak. Including that day, Mill also pulled back by 7%, right? Xiaomi 7%, I'm very normal, very normal. Then many people panicked that day. I said to be down to earth, so don't cheat all the time. Why? It's the top. That's not the case. So today, we are the first one just now. That is to say, let's come up first and talk about a few today, because many people have to go to work tomorrow, so they can go to bed quickly. Just talk to them about the first one. That is, don't increase positions with continuous rising tickets in this position. That is, don't do the opposite. You are equivalent to saying that you will go against us. Our family is the first tactic and you will go against us. After you go against it, you can't save anyone. For example, Xiaomi returned 100% that day and it returned 5%, right? It reached 7%, 7%, 7%, 8% in the intraday session, and then it was reversed on the next day, right? That is, I didn't post it publicly on Weibo, but some friends asked me privately, such as Xiao. If you asked me in that WeChat, I always replied, I called Xiaomi tonight and called for Xiaomi tonight. Tomorrow, a positive line will be held back to see what they say. Of course. That's it. I can only say privately that I can't send someone out because there's something like that now. What do I mean? That is to say, a single top is either like this. So today, I will talk about the second point and tell you how to judge a top. This requires experience. You have to experience it once before you can remember it thoroughly. But I tell you the unity of knowledge and action first, and you will predict it. You will encounter it a few times later. After you become proficient, you will know that a single top is either a collateral or a continuous rise in tickets. It's just that one stock is killed down and the other stock is killed down. Then it doesn't matter if you can reduce your position. It doesn't matter. But don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Why do you go to see all the tickets in history? It's the main force. The sunrise is endless. Just like a single bottom is not a bottom and a single bottom is not a top. It can't be finished. It's impossible for it to talk about me. I cried and cried at the bottom, knowing that it took me a long time to shake, and they didn't have that much after I finished it in one day. Many acceptance orders. Then how to judge that? Just remember, after the Wakong aircraft came down, after the Air Force came down, if it's fast, 2K lines or 1K line are reversed, or 2 to 3K lines are reversed and then adjusted to a high level, and then the volume is increased. Then it will be dangerous to remember that position. Then it will be dangerous. That is, if you say that you increased the volume on the first day and have not decreased it before, then you remember that it will either reverse the positive line on the second day or when 2 to 3K lines reverse and reach a new high. You should at least lose some weight. It's a kind of... What is the second kind? The second is that you say you hit a new high after going up and reversing the package, but you didn't leave. Do you think it doesn't matter if the lying exercise is so strong that it can still rise? It will be adjusted later, right? After the adjustment, remember, this time will be relatively long, and sometimes it may. A month may be raised in 3 months, maybe 20% will be returned, then what? Wait. Look, Sister Chow. Don't be so guessed. Every time, does the Hakka lady come to the wide art of the goddess of counting kings or Athena? When my face is reduced, I can see it. That is what it is after coming down. Just increase the volume, just plummet. It plummeted 20%, 15, 20. Then after 7 minutes, the small lamb line, the small negative line, and the small positive line went back and forth here. It took more than a month for Guo at that time. After 2 months, I found that, hey, it has returned to the previous high position again. This position may not necessarily reach the previous high, but when you go back and swim up slowly, you have to talk about this position, which is equivalent to saying that any market or individual stocks will peak in the future. This kind of trend is a high probability, but it is not certain if I make any more money. Let me say it again. Many people say what Brother Nay said, well, no, it's not necessarily like this, but what about the high probability? It's like, for example, Mill killed 8% of the 789 out of the 8 pots that day, and then the harvest in the late trading was 5% or so. And don't be afraid of the heavy volume gathering negative lines. Why didn't you leave that day? You endured it for a week and then go back to that position before leaving, go again. If you still don't leave that position, tell me a small probability of trying. I want to fight for a fucking check of 7 or 8,000. As far as the Hong Kong stock price of A shares is concerned, there is no problem in the check that can hit new highs every day in a row. You can gamble, then you are waiting for it to come back, but then you have to wait for a sharp retracement of 10%, 5 to 20, or even 30, one day or a week on a week because of the limit. Look at its previous increase. After 20%, basically it slowly became a positive line and a negative line, which was very irregular, but After 3 months, 2 to 3 months, it returned to the previous huge amount of leaving. Basically, this position is equivalent to saying that there are 123 and there are 3 selling points. The first selling point is to put the big gold thread on that day. You said, my brother won't play, my brother. This bowl is so big, I won't play, I won't gamble, it's okay, it's okay. Because as long as the volume is released, or when it falls and rises, there must be a big shipment, so it doesn't matter. You can follow them. It doesn't matter. That's the first selling point. What's the second selling point? It's after a time, for example, when 1 K line or 3 K lines are reversed and reached a new high within a week. Hey, you can also go at this point. Then what are the second and third points? If you don't go at all, then you have to endure this pain for at least 1 month and 3 months. That is to say, for example, you earned 100% at that time, but only earned 70% when you returned to 8. And then you slowly went back to the discovery, oh, one day it returns to 8%, 1587 is the rate of return. When it reaches 90%, it is basically this way. You can avoid all the tops. This is how we hid for 15 years. For example, this one, let's talk about it at the beginning today. It's definitely just goods. No one will tell you so clearly when you go outside. Then, of course, let's be more specific. What is the specific graph of how much we retracement? Hey, this brother doesn't want this. Absolutely, this is a logical problem. Let's figure out the logic first.